All right, good morning, y'all. I'm Colonel Sky Duncan, the Joint Base Garrison Commander. Welcome to this morning's discussion. Today I have the privilege and honor of introducing Mr. Herschel Walker, our guest speaker, a man who became a household name but is here to educate us today on how he faced and overcame distinctive adversity during his childhood and adult life. He'll tell us about his adversities and how they changed him, what led to his motivation to do 750 to 1,500 push-ups and 2,000 sit-ups a day to get in shape, and to a habit I think you continue a little bit to this day, right? Did his resilience from adversity motivate him? How did he become a star running back in 2 football leagues, an Olympian, an author, and a successful businessman, and a speaker who people come to see? This future Heisman Trophy winner led the Johnson County High School football team to a Georgia State championship in 1979. He was a standout high school track and field athlete, in addition to graduating valedictorian that year as well. His success continued at the University of Georgia, where he helped lead the Bulldogs to a 1980 national championship, and he earned the consecutive All-American honors in football and track in 1980, 81, and 82, and the Heisman Trophy in 82 as well. His accomplishments during this time period earned him a slot in the College Hall of Fame in 2002. But his college achievements were just a start. For the next 15 years, he became a household name as an unstoppable running back who rushed for a season-high 2,411 yards during the 1985 United States Football League season, and later he excelled as an NFL All-Pro running back receiver and kick returner for the following teams. Give me a little whoop if I say something that sounds familiar to you, a team you recognize: the Dallas Cowboys, the Minnesota Vikings, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. During his 187-game NFL career, he rushed for 8,225 yards, 4.2 yards per carry, and scored 61 touchdowns. He also caught 512 passes, 4,859 yards, and 21 touchdowns. After his football career, he took on new challenges associated with transitioning into a post-football career, and at this time, an untreated and previously unidentified behavioral health problem from his childhood resurfaced. Him recognizing the problem was a positive first step, but this led to an even tougher challenge: asking for help. Not an easy thing to do when you've worked all your adult life in a career that rewards physical and mental toughness and seems to penalize admissions of physical or mental need. His career achievements made a strong case for his resilience, but we'll see that his resilience is built on help from others as well as his own internal motivation. We can all improve on asking for help, but first we must be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to ask for help, be willing to get into some deeper conversations, and perhaps you'll see when you ask, it can be staggering the amount of hurt some people carry with, the amount of pain some people bear, and also the amount of resilience that they've built up over time, especially when they work through it with others. Our guest today, Mr. Herschel Walker, faced these challenges. He's here with us today to share how he overcame the stigmas associated with admitting a behavioral health problem. And more importantly, he's here to help tell you how you can overcome the same stigmas that may be preventing you from asking for help, the help that you need. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Walker. Good talking with you.
You know, before every speech, I always acknowledge my Lord Jesus Christ, because he said if you don't acknowledge him, he's not going to acknowledge you. And when I come knocking on him to let me in. Oh, have y'all ever heard a story about the man that had these 2 little twin boys? One little boy was always positive in life. No matter whatever happened to that kid, he was positive about it. But this other little kid was always negative. No matter whatever was going on in this kid's life, he was negative about everything. And the father don't know what's going on with these kids because they're twins, but they're so opposite. So around Christmas time, he tried this little experiment. He put this negative little kid in his room with nothing but brand new toys. But he put this positive kid in his room with nothing but horse manure. And after an hour or so, he looked in on this negative little kid, and he was complaining. I don't want this, I want that. I don't want this color, I want that color. I don't want this, I want that. And the father knew that this kid is never going to amount to anything, because nothing ever makes him happy. But he looks in on the kid that's in the room with the horse manure. He's got a shovel. He's shoving this horse manure over his shoulder. He's laughing and singing and having a good time. First thing the father thinks, this kid is crazy. But he asked his son, what's going on? What's going on? The little boy looked at his dad and said, you know, Dad, as much horse manure as there's in this room, there must be a pony at the bottom of it. And the reason I'm going to tell you all that, guys, in life, we all have a pony. But sometimes we just deal with the crap around us that we don't want to find our pony. But I'm going to tell you, I'm living proof that if you grab a shovel every day, you can find your pony. Because people know all the glory of Herschel Walker, but they don't know my story of Herschel Walker. I'm going to take you on a journey of an interesting story. Because I was born in this little town called Wrightsville, Georgia. Yes, Wrightsville, and you know this. Wrightsville is so, if you got 1 year to live, you move there. Because that year is forever. Same old, same old. My mom made me feel good because she told me I was big bone. And all the other kids, no, Herschel, you're fat. And I used to have a stuttering problem where I used to hit on myself all the time trying to get my words out. That I had teachers that put me in the corner. They told me I was special. But all the kids in my class said, no, Herschel, you're retarded. Guys, 4 years of my life, I never went out for a recess. 4 years of my life, I never spoke in a classroom. People didn't even think I can speak. I just stayed quiet. I used to walk around scared to death of everything. Until the last day of school in the 8th grade, I decided I'm going to go out for recess. And I remember going outside, and as I got outside, there was a kid by the name of Anthony Logan. He jumped on me and he beat me up. I still can remember that name, Anthony Logan, because I'll be Facebooking and tweeting, trying to find him today. But anyway, he beat me up. And I remember going home crying and stuff, and everyone thought it was funny on the bus. They thumping me on the head. They thought this fat kid crying and stuff. I was crying. And I got home, and I'm going to take some of you back a little ways, because Gilligan Island was on. And I remember watching Gilligan Island, but I also can remember a voice, and this is a long time ago, coming to me, because my nickname is Bo. This voice said, Bo, you quit that crying. Said, no one else will ever beat you up again, and no teacher will ever put you in the corner again either. And that's the day of my life I started working out. I started doing 5,000 push-ups every day, 5,000 sit-ups every day. My parents had a tree in the backyard, and it had a limb about 10 feet off the ground. I used to climb that tree and start doing chin-ups on that tree limb. I started going to the library, getting books, sitting in front of the mirror, reading to myself over and over when my speech got a little bit better. And instead of walking around like this here, I started walking around with my head up. So all of a sudden, I went back to school until the 9th grade. And instead of going into that corner where I normally was going to sit, I sit down in front of the class. I started raising my hand now to answer questions. People were shocked that this kid can talk now. And all of a sudden, this kid that no one ever wanted to play with become one of the fastest kids in the state of Georgia. This kid that the teachers thought could never learn become valedictorian of his class. I started getting scholarships to go to college and stuff, not just athletically, guys. I got academic scholarships to go to college. But I'm going to tell y'all a secret. I really didn't want to go to college. I had spent time at West Point. I thought I was cut out to be a Marine. So I wanted to go to the military. But I couldn't tell my mom and dad, Mom, Dad, I really don't want to go to college. I want to go to the military. So, signing day for athletes are in February. So February came and went, and I ain't say anything. March came and went, I ain't say anything. Easter Sunday in April, my mom came up to me and she said, Bo, don't you think it's time for you to decide whether you want to go to college? But before I can say anything, she said, but let me tell you this. If your mind and your heart is pure to the Lord Jesus, it really don't matter about your decisions, because God will make it right for you. I'm a teenager. I said, all right, then I'll flip a coin. I flipped the coin to the side whether to go to college or go to the military. It came up for me to go to college, and I go, crap. Because now I'm mad that God ain't going to let me do what I want to do. So I decided I am not going to the University of Georgia. Because everyone in my hometown wanted me to go to the University of Georgia. Now I'm mad and I'm not going to go. So I'm going to flip a coin between Clemson University and the University of Georgia. First flip, Georgia wins. I said the best out of 5. Georgia won the next 2 times. I said, wait, Mom, Dad, I love to go to USC out in California. I love to go to USC because I felt as USC wins this coin toss, they'll let me go to the military. First flip, Georgia wins. Next flip, USC. The next 2 times, Georgia. I said, wait, and this is honest truth. I said, I'm going to pull the names out of a bag. Guys, I pulled Georgia all 3 times. This is no joke. I said, okay, I'm going to Georgia, and I didn't mean it. I went outside to play with my younger brother, Lorenzo. And as we were playing, they called up Coach Dooley and all the reporters. They said, Herschel decided he's coming to Georgia. And later that night, everyone showed up at my home. I didn't even know they were coming. And I was too embarrassed to tell them I was joking, that I signed to go to the University of Georgia, and I really didn't want to go. After I signed to go to the University of Georgia, this is the honest truth. The head coach at the University of Georgia, a guy by the name of Vince Dooley, came up to my father and myself on my front porch. And his exact words were, we are happy to have Herschel on the team, but I'm not sure if Herschel can play at the University of Georgia. He said, I'm not sure if he's up for that type of competition. You know, I'm from one of the smallest schools in the state of Georgia, and I remember looking at him thinking, dude, I don't like you either. Because kids, all my life, kids told me I wasn't good enough to play with them. All my life, teachers told me I wasn't good enough to be in that classroom. And now I just gave my life to this dude, and he's telling me I'm not good enough to play on this football team. I was all right. I started training. I get a letter to be at the University of Georgia at 5 o'clock. I left my home at 2 in the morning. I drove up to the University of Georgia. I got there at 3:30 in the morning. It was dark outside, no cars in the parking lot. You know, I don't like to be late. 4 o'clock, no cars, dark in the parking lot. 4:30, I'm getting nervous. Am I in the wrong place? I remember going to the cafeteria where my letter said to meet at, and the letter I got is in the window. But at the bottom of the letter, it said be there by 5 p.m. So I'm a little early right now. So I remember getting in my car. I remember turning the radio on, turning the radio off, and walking around the car. And about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, this white 280ZX drive up. I remember running up to this car, and I stuck my hand out like a gentleman, the way I was taught from my parents. This bowed-up Hispanic dude by the name of Francisco Ross. Francisco Ross, I'm going to call him Frank, because Francisco is not in my vocabulary, but anyway. Frank, he got out of the car, and he looked at me, and then he would shake my hand. He said, hey, freshman, take my bags up to the room. I grab his bags, and I'm taking them up to the room, and as I come in back, hey, freshman, take my car around back. Get in his car, and I take it around back, and all of a sudden, hey, freshman, you need to wash my car. I said, this dude getting carried away, but I'm going to go wash his car. And I'm out there washing this guy's car. And about this time, this meeting started. I walk into the cafeteria. They got some of the guys doing leapfrog. They got some doing the elephant walk. There was a guy by the name of Nat Hudson, starting right guard. Nat Hudson turned to me. He's about 6'5", about 280 pounds. Said, Herschel, I want you to stand in the corner like a crane on one leg. This is in 1980. And I can remember the anger, because I didn't come to the University of Georgia for y'all to make fun of me. I didn't come here to play games. And all of a sudden, before I could say something, this bold Hispanic dude by the name of Frank stood up and said, wait a minute, I'm going to take Herschel Walker to be my little brother. So the whole room get upset. They go to Coach Dooley, and Coach Dooley said, y'all know if he want to do that, he can do it. So no one said another word to me, and Frank turned to me and said, Herschel, sit down. I sit down, no one said another word to me all night. Later that night, I said, Frank, what's going on? What's going on? And Frank said, well, Herschel, everyone on this team, we decided we were going to make your life miserable here. Said we were going to dog you out because we thought you were so cocky that you waited so long to sign that we were going to make you work for everybody here. Said, but when I got here, he said, I asked you to do all that stuff. He said, you never said one word. I said, you should have known what I was thinking, though. But now, the football stuff starts. Guys, I show up at the University of Georgia at that time, about 6 feet tall, 215 pounds, running a legit 4.3 40. I don't know if you know what a 4.3 is, but you can go get it at a 4.3. I'm doing everything right. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Doing everything right. But I was a mama's boy, and I would call home, and my mom would say, you know, Bo, we read in the paper that Coach Dooley said you're not doing too well right now. Read in the paper that Coach Dooley said it's going to be a while for you to catch on, but she used to always end by saying, but don't you worry about it, because the Lord is making a way for you. I used to think, what does God got to do with football and stuff? And all of a sudden, the first game going to be coming around. We're going to be playing in Knoxville, Tennessee, 95,000 people. I remember the meeting, the week before we're going to be playing, we were sitting in a meeting like this. And Coach Dooley said, we're going to be traveling to Knoxville. Some of you are going to travel with the team. We're going to leave some behind. But he said, Herschel, you're going with the team, but you're not going to play. I'm not sure why he had to tell me that. We get into Knoxville, 95,000 people. And we're walking through the tunnel, going onto the field. Connor Norris was running back from South Carolina playing for the University of Georgia, was in front of me. Coach Dooley was in front of Connor Norris. As we're walking through the tunnels, his words were, Herschel, you're not playing today, but stay close, you may learn something. But Coach Dooley didn't know that my mom also told me that man can't stop what God got in store for you. Because we get in this game, and we're getting beat 15-0. And they only gave Georgia 2,500 seats, but they put them in the end zone so they couldn't be seen or heard over there. And all of a sudden, over 90-some thousand, 2,500 said, we want Herschel. We want Herschel. And it got so loud, Coach Dooley, I tell you today, that's the only reason he decided to let me play. He threw me into this game. We ended up winning this game 16-15. Now I got to play the next week against Texas A&M. We beat Texas A&M at home 42-0. I have 3 touchdowns, 180-something yards in 3 quarters. Now I got to play the rest of the year. And what was so funny, Coach Dooley used to always try to check, because he'll tell you today, it wasn't that he didn't want me to play, but he didn't like for a freshman to play his first year. So he was trying to find a reason to keep me from playing. So he used to check my room to make sure my room was done. But he didn't know I knew how to do my room. I knew how to make my bed. I knew how to clean my room up, because I used to get a spanking if I didn't know how to do those things. Not that I'm advocating spankings, because Adrian Peterson messed the spanking things up for us. But anyway, so I knew how to do all that stuff and all this. And he used to check to make sure I was in class, and he didn't realize I love to go to class, guys. I love being in class. So I was in class, so I couldn't get in trouble about nothing. So now I play all year. We beat Notre Dame for the national championship year, my freshman year. And now they said, Herschel, you're nominated for the Heisman Trophy. Everybody at the University of Georgia got excited about it, and I was pretending I was excited. Let me tell you the reason I was pretending I was excited. Guys, I didn't know what the Heisman Trophy was. This is the honest truth. I'm going to tell y'all another secret. I don't follow football. The only reason I play football is to get out of from washing dishes. My mom used to make me wash dishes and stuff at home. And I thought, crap, why don't I start playing football to get me out of cleaning up the house and stuff? Which was a bad idea, because now you got to play football and clean the house at the same time. So I didn't know anything about football, so I went off to the library to read about the Heisman Trophy. That's how I learned about the Heisman Trophy. I go, wow, that's a big-time award. I said, it'd be great if I win that, because, remember, we won a national championship. They said we were the best team in America, and it'd be great if I won it. But they didn't give it to me in 1980. They gave it to George Rogers from South Carolina. I'm like, who the heck is George Rogers from South Carolina? In my sophomore year, guys, remember, I only lost 1 regular season game the whole time in college. I have another incredible year. I get nominated as a sophomore. Didn't win it then either. He gave it to Marcus Allen at USC. I'm a whole lot better looking. But anyway. And then my junior year, this will be funny. This will tell you how God is real smart. My junior year, I decided I'm leaving the University of Georgia. They have a recruiting office in Athens on Baxter Street in Athens, Georgia. I was going to leave the University of Georgia and go join the military. On a Friday afternoon, the last day of practice, a play that the coaches didn't even want me to do, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm a teenager. I was running the ball, and as I was falling out of bounds, I only gained 2 yards. I was falling out of bounds. I went to catch myself, and I broke my thumb. If you remember my junior year, I started the season out with this big old cast on my hand, and I remember this bone was sticking up through the skin. The first thing I said is, God didn't love me. And I shook it off, and I was trying to put that bone back in my hand, and I couldn't get it in my finger. Now I'm scared to death, because I tell people my father's cheap. My father can't even afford OR and poor. He poor. And I'm thinking, he got to pay for this, and he's going to be mad at me now and stuff. But all of a sudden, I went off to the hospital to have what they call a local done. You know what a local is? That's when they cut the circulation off in your arm. You can watch them do the surgery. Absolutely amazing. Because as I'm watching this doctor put a shot in my hand, and he took my finger and he maneuvered that bone back into my hand. I can see it on the x-ray. But it had a power decker drill on the table that he got from an Ace Hardware store. It had 4 pins about this long and some wire cutters that he got from the same Ace Hardware store. He put these pins in the drill, drilled them into my finger, crossed them like this, took the wire cutter and cut them off and wrapped my hand up. My dad could have done that. But anyway, I was leaving the hospital, and as I was leaving the hospital, there was a nun coming in. She said, "You look like," I said, "Herschel Walker." She said, "What happened?" I said, "I broke my thumb." She said, "The Lord is making a way for you." I said, "She must know my mom." Well, I get back to the University of Georgia, and I remember they have 4 football fields. And in the middle of those 4 football fields, they have this little shed like this thing out there. And it's one of those hot days. I don't know if anyone ever been in Georgia when it's the summer and July and August. It's hot and humid. You see a dog chasing a rabbit, they walking down the street, it's so hot and stuff. But anyway, it was one of those days, and I was out there, and they got the fan on me. I'm underneath this shed. The trainers are making sure I'm okay to bring me water. My teammates are making sure I'm all right and stuff. But then all of a sudden, as I'm looking out there at my teammate practicing that sun, waiting for me to come back, I said, wait, I'm not leaving this team here. I said, this is my family right here. I said, I'm not leaving this team. I'm going to stay here. Now I stay, we have another incredible year. Now they give me the Heisman Trophy. Now, did you hear what I just said? They gave me the Heisman Trophy. Because in 1982, I'm not sure if I earned the Heisman Trophy in 82. I get a chance to vote today. And if I had voted in 1982, I wouldn't have voted for myself. I would have voted for John Elway. I tell people I thought I was a Susan Lucci at a Heisman Trophy. I don't know if y'all know who Susan Lucci is, but look it up. You can Google that. But anyway, so I felt like I was a Susan Lucci at a Heisman Trophy. And then all of a sudden, I'm sitting in my apartment in Athens, Georgia, and this USFL thing came along. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the USFL, but I had a decision to make. Should I go to the USFL or stay here at the University of Georgia? I flipped a coin, and it told me to go to the USFL. And that's where Donald Trump comes in my life. I don't know if y'all know that I've known Donald before he became the Donald. A matter of fact, little Ivanka and little Donald lived with me for a week for 5 years during the summer. Every amusement park, Disney World, SeaWorld, every place they went, I was the one to take them. I kept them for a week. So the intelligence of those 2 kids right there is not from Donald. Yeah, I'm with them. Anyway, so I was there 3 years. I tell you, now you see how things are happening in my life. Remember I told you got to grab a shovel. When you get knocked down, you got to get up. I go to the USFL, do all these great things, and all of a sudden I'm in, USFL is going under. Remember I said grab a shovel? Because you're going to get, you ever watch a stupid movie late at night hoping it's going to get better, but it don't get better, but keep watching it anyway? Like, you ever seen The Predator in L.A.? Y'all remember The Predator in L.A. got Danny Glover in it? Like, not Morgan Freeman, but Danny Glover, because they only use one old black actor in a movie. This is one that got Danny Glover. And I was watching The Predator in L.A., and The Predator was going around L.A. killing all these gangbangers and stuff. And Danny Glover is a detective trying to find out what's going on. Well, what was so amazing about this movie, that Danny Glover lasted to the end of the movie. Because normally the black man get killed early. And he lasted to the end. So the first thing I thought that this is a Tyler Perry movie. But Tyler Perry was not during that time. But anyway, so as I'm watching The Predator in L.A., he's going around killing all these gangbangers. At the end of the movie, Danny Glover and the Predator meets up to this small little room, if you can remember that. I said, uh-oh, they found a way to get rid of him. Because remember, Danny Glover is old. You remember in the movie, Mel Gibson, he running down the street in his underwear and stuff. I said, he's going to get beat up by the Predator because the Predator beat up Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold is only like 3 feet tall, about 6 feet wide, though he's a strong dude. But anyway, the Predator and Danny Glover gets in this fight. Danny Glover's getting worn out. He's bleeding and he's sweating and he don't think he can make it no more. And he's just so tired and stuff and he's old. And he grabs a blade from a wall and kills a Predator. And I go, uh-oh. I've never seen anyone kill a Predator except an alien, but that's a different movie. But anyway, I was watching this and I said, now that's a bad dude right there. But as Danny Glover's so tired and sweating and bleeding, he lays his blade against the wall and he kneels there and he sits down. And about that time, his music starts. You know, when music starts, something else is about to happen. Another Predator appears from the wall, and another one, and another one. All of a sudden, there's 6 of them in the room, one Danny Glover. But Danny Glover did something so powerful by grabbing his shovel. He reached down and grabbed that blade, and he said, who's next in line? Sort of like I did when I was sitting there in New Jersey, and the USFL is going on there. Charlie Steiner from ESPN interviewed me. He said, Herschel, where would you like to go play in the NFL? I said, Mr. Steiner, I don't watch football. But I said, I have two brothers that love the Dallas Cowboys. Well, he laughed at me. He said, Dallas is not going to draft you because they got Tony Dorsett. I said, sir, you didn't ask me who was going to draft me. You asked me where I like to go play. That's the only team I know. He left my home. But God is good. 5 minutes after he left my home, my phone rung. The voice on the other end of the phone was, Herschel, this is from the Dallas, this is Tex Ram from the Dallas Cowboys. We just drafted you to Dallas. Now I fly off to Dallas, and let me tell you what. I played with one of the finest coaches ever to coach football, a guy by the name of Tom Landry. Absolutely amazing man, coach, husband, father. This was an incredible man. I played with these legendary players. I played with a guy by the name of Ed Too Tall Jones, Tony Dorsett. I played with Randy White. Honest truth. On a Monday night football game, Randy White played in a football game, had a dislocated shoulder, a bad knee, and a broken toe. Played in a football game. In today's world, if you got a hangnail, you out for 2 weeks, can't play it all. But anyway, I'm there playing with the Dallas Cowboys. I lead the league in rushing and stuff, and now I got a big head, guys. I'm cool right now. And all of a sudden, I hear someone from Arkansas is going to buy the Dallas Cowboys. I'm thinking, Arkansas? I don't even know where Arkansas is at. I said, ain't nobody got no money in Arkansas. There's nothing there but chickens and Walmarts. Who got some money from Arkansas? I was wrong, because there's a guy by the name of Jerry Jones came to Dallas, bought the Dallas Cowboys, they fired Coach Landry, brought in Jimmy Johnson. Now I'm just a player, guys. And remember, I got a big head because I just led the league in rushing. Pretty cool right now. We go off to Thousand Oaks, California. That's where they filmed the Letter House on the Prairie at. I don't know if y'all know that, but y'all probably don't care. But anyway, we are in Thousand Oaks, California, practicing. I'm pretty cool because I just led the league in rushing. Now I go through 4 weeks of practice. And all of a sudden, we get back to Dallas on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I still can remember this. It was in 1989, Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. That's when Judge Watner used to come on. Now Judge Judy comes on at 4. I'm going to tell y'all something else you don't know. I got a law degree from watching those two shows. Well, anyway, I'm watching Judge Watner, and my phone rung. The voice on the other end of the phone was, Herschel, this is Coach Johnson. Can you come over to see me for a moment? I said, yes, sir, Coach. I'll be right over there. I jumped in my Mini Cooper. And don't laugh at my Mini Cooper. I got those Pimp My Ride Mini Coopers, those some bad boys. I got David, Nate, and Cupid. Those some bad, well, anyway, y'all don't care about that either. But anyway, I got in David. I took off heading over to the complex. And at that time, guys, in the league, I was known as a cleaner. And not like a mafia cleaner. A cleaner in the NFL is a player that solves problems. And what I mean by that is, guys, I never drank before in my life. Never had a beer. Never tasted anything. So if you had a bar late at night, doesn't matter what time it is, you can call me, I'm going to come pick you up. If you got a problem in your home, doesn't matter what it is, with your wife, with your kids, with anything, you can call me and we'll go over and try to solve it. So I was known as a cleaner. So as I'm driving over to the complex, I'm going down the list of the players that I think is in trouble. Because you have those players that's always in trouble, have those players that are sometime in trouble, and you have those players that, they just teeter in like a little bit. So as I'm going down the list, I walk into his front office, and Coach Landry, old secretary, there, and she's crying. My thought now goes to who may have just died. As I walk into the main office, Jimmy Johnson, I remember I just led the league in rushing. Jimmy Johnson was sitting behind his desk. Jerry Jones was standing by the window. As soon as I walked in, Jimmy Johnson jumped up, said, Herschel, we just traded you to Minnesota. What do you think? I didn't even shake this man's hand. I biked up and I said, you know what? I'm going to go outside and think about this. I turned around. I walked outside into the parking lot. I got into the parking lot and I decided, you know what? I'm going home. Got in my car and I went home. I got home, my ex-wife said, what do they want? What do they want? I said, Jimmy just told me they traded me to Minnesota. She said, they can't trade you to Minnesota because, guys, I'm going to tell y'all another thing you don't know about me. I'm the only player ever in the NFL to have 100% no trade clause in his contract his life. So now I called my agent up, and he said, Herschel, they can't trade you. I'll be in Dallas tomorrow morning. Peter Johnson from IMG flew to Dallas, went into Jimmy's office. Jimmy did the same things that Peter traded Herschel to Minnesota. What do you think? Peter said, have y'all looked at Herschel's contract? Well, Jim and Jerry never looked at my contract. So he happened to go through the file, open my contract up, and at the bottom of my contract, it states, Herschel Walker cannot be traded unless he consent to the trade. So y'all know what? Jim and Jerry is in a bind because Herschel Walker hate cold weather, and it is cold in Minnesota, and I'm not going to Minnesota. So I stayed 5 games with the Dallas Cowboys, and I was already traded to the Minnesota Vikings. So all of a sudden, Mike Lynn from the Minnesota Vikings, who passed away about 2 years ago, called up Jerry Jones, said, Jerry, if you don't get Herschel Walker in Minnesota, we're going to sue the Dallas Cowboys, and we probably own part of them. So Jerry met with my agent, said, what do Herschel send and want to go to Minnesota? What do they want? Peter came to our home in Las Colinas, and Peter said, Jerry want to know what y'all want to go to Minnesota. My exact words, Jerry, I don't want anything. Black people hate cold weather. It's cold in Minnesota, and I'm not going to Minnesota. And Peter said, you don't want anything? I said, okay, if Jerry want to know what we want, now I become like this bad kid. I tell him what we want. I want a brand new house every other year I play in the NFL. I want 2 brand new cars every year I play in the NFL. Send them on a wardrobe every year you play. I want all this money. I want to use Jerry Jones' plane for a year. And Peter go, Herschel, he ain't going to give you all that stuff. I said, Peter, you didn't ask me what he was going to give me. You asked me what I want, and that's what I want. Peter said, I want a bass boat. Put it on the list then, Peter. He wrote he want a bass boat on this list. This is the honest truth, guys. There are 3 sheets of paper, almost front and back, of all this junk. We didn't really want it. But they're going to let Jerry know I'm not going to Minnesota. Peter went across the street to the Four Seasons. He said Jerry was in the lobby. And Jerry walked up to Peter and said, what do they want? What do they want? And Peter was just joking. He pulled out these 3 sheets of paper. Said, Herschel said, if you agree to this, he would go to Minnesota. Jerry grabbed that list and signed it and got someone to witness it. And I went, and Peter said, are you serious? And Peter came back to our home, and he said, Herschel, I am so sorry, but Jerry agreed to everything. Oh, crap. No, he didn't. I was, oh. And if you remember when Jerry Jones got accepted into the Hall of Fame, he made a speech, and his words were, I want to thank Herschel Walker for accepting the trade. And that's what he was talking about. I accept to take all that junk I really didn't want to go to Minnesota. But now I take Jerry Jones' plane, I fly out to Minneapolis. And I don't know if anyone lived in Minnesota. Minnesota is a hidden secret. That's one of the best places I've lived in my life. Terrible football team, great place to live. But anyway, I'm there for 3 years. And now it's weird because every 3 years you got to grab a shovel. I'm there for 3 years doing my thing. Guys, every year I led the league in something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm always leading the league in something. My contract is up. And all of a sudden, I'm getting calls from all over the league of people say, Herschel, why don't you come play with us? Come play with us. I'd love to have you here. That was a guy by the name of Reggie White. I don't know if y'all know that name by the name of Minister of Defense, a bad dude. Let me tell you, there ain't nobody better, they can be better than Reggie White. Reggie White was a bad dude. Reggie called me up and said, Herschel, when would you come to Philadelphia? City of Brotherly Love. Man, he said, that's the city of brotherly love. And I'm stupid, coming from the country. That's a city that loves brothers. That's made for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, I get this contract, go to Philadelphia. I'm going to break y'all off something. Ain't no love in Philly. That's a tough place to play football. Let me tell you what, they boo everybody. You remember that Monday night game they threw snowball to Santa Claus? I'm serious, they threw snowball to Santa Claus with batteries in. Y'all don't care about that. But anyway, I'm in Philadelphia doing my thing. Philadelphia, I'm there with Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, Clyde Simmons, Sept Joyner. We're having a great time, guys. I'm leading the league in reception and stuff again. And all of a sudden, 3 years after being in Philly, Reggie decided to leave Philly and go to Green Bay. I said, Green Bay? I said, I'm not going to Green Bay. They said, why? I said, I don't look good in those colors. I'm serious, green, gold, whatever color, I don't look good in that. I said, I'm not going to go to Green Bay. They said, what are you going to do? I said, I got that house in New York that Jerry bought for me. I said, I'm going to go play with the Giants for a year. I don't know if y'all remember that. I went to play for the Giants for a year. Terrible mistake, because that was a time they were going through transition. You know, when transition started, meaning they're not playing that well. So I'm in New York and stuff, and I still remember this. This is in 1995. At 4:30, y'all can Google this stuff. You tell, I remember this, 1995 at 4:30, Love Connection used to come on. Because I was watching Love Connection, and my phone rung. And the voice on the other end of the phone said, Herschel, this is Jerry Jones. You got a moment to talk? I said, yes, sir, Mr. Jones. What can I do for you? He said, we would love to have you back at the Dallas Cowboys. How would you like to come back to the Dallas Cowboys? I said, Mr. Jones, I'd love to come back to the Dallas Cowboys. I still got that house there that you bought for me. I'd love to come back to Dallas. Now I take Jerry Jones playing and fly back to Dallas. Now I'm having another good time, guys. I'm leading the league in kickoff return and stuff. And like I say, you got to grab a shovel. Something else happened. We were practicing against the Oakland Raiders out in California. I was lining up to run this route. A kid across the ball from me and go, Mr. Walker, how you doing today, sir? How you feeling? I remember looking at him and I go, Anthony? It was Anthony Dorsett, Tony Dorsett's son. I said, wait a minute. I remember he was a little kid. I used to wrestle with this little kid. I played with his father. Now I'm playing against his son, Ron Springs' son with the Washington Redskins. Wait a minute. I played against his dad. Now I'm playing John Casey at the Carolina Panthers. Even, guys, I played with the dad. Now I'm playing against the son. Even in my own locker room, honest truth. I used to walk in my locker room in the morning and I have my teammate go, Mr. Walker, how you doing today, sir? How you feeling? Go, crap, am I getting old? Like my teammates calling me Mr. Walker. I'm like, I need to get out of this game. This is the reason I decided to league. And I was leading the league in kickoff return. So as I was getting out of this thing, this is when my life really happened. This is good stuff happened now. Remember my wife, I always say my wife, but she was my ex-wife. This is what's so funny about my ex-wife. I tell people, I'm still in love with my ex-wife, who's married, but I'm still in love with her. That's the reason I'm not married today, because I'm in love with my ex-wife. And I call her my ex-wife, but she still, y'all probably don't really care about that, but a doctor said as long as you get it off your back, you feel so much better, and I do feel better. But anyway, well, my ex-wife was, well, I'm just calling my wife, because we were married at the time. That's okay. But anyway, my wife started telling me about these things I was doing that I wasn't aware I was doing them. And then I'm thinking that she got a problem. Until something happened to show me that, Herschel, something is wrong. Because I love old street rods. I love old street rods and stuff. So I decided that I had bought this car from Philadelphia. And a guy was going to bring it from Philly to Irving, Texas, where I lived at. And he would call me up and say, Herschel, are you going to be home on Monday? I'll be there on Monday. And I said, yes, sir, I'll be home. I would cancel my whole day and wait for this guy. And he didn't show up. Wouldn't call to tell me he's not coming. And then he'll reschedule another time with me. He did me like this 4 times, and he never showed up. All of a sudden, he showed up in Texas, didn't tell me he was coming, but he don't show up in Irving, Texas. He showed up in Arlington, Texas. That's 30, 40 miles, that's 35 miles away from me. And he didn't tell me he was coming. And he gives my number to a guy at a service station who called me up. And the guy said, Mr. Walker, there's a guy here at the service station that said he got a delivery for you. What do you want me to do? I was so angry, guys. I still remember this. Sort of like when Nat Husband was telling me to stand in the corner. That anger went from 0 to 100 like this. You tell him to stay right there. I would be right there. I grabbed the gun. Well, I worked for the Port Law Enforcement. Y'all didn't know that either, did you? I spent time at Quantico at the FBI training schools. Y'all didn't know I was an agent. I probably shouldn't tell y'all that. Y'all don't care. But anyway, yeah, I've been in law enforcement. So I grabbed my gun. I said, I will kill him. Herschel Walker won the Heisman Trophy. I'm going to kill him. I got in David, one of my men. I took off on 183. And I can still remember the voice of Herschel. People been disrespecting you all the time. People are always doing stuff to you. You never done nothing to nobody. And all of a sudden, this other voice of Herschel, your parents didn't raise you like that. You're stick together. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. I thought I was losing my mind. As I got closer and closer to where I was going to be meeting this guy, I started to pray. I said, Lord, I need some help right now. I said, I need you to help me. I said, I'm about to do something stupid right now. I need you to help me right now. I remember getting to this where I was going to meet him at. I got out of my car and I put my hand on my gun. As I was walking to this truck, before I could see the guy, I saw the sign on the back of his truck that said, honk if you love Jesus. And that's what calmed me down. And I went back to sending my wife, my ex-wife. And I was saying that something is wrong with me. She said, I know it is. I said, what are you talking about? She said, Herschel, for months I've been trying to tell you something is wrong. I said, you haven't heard me. She said, you never hear me. She said, sometimes you pace the floor like a caged lion. And she said, sometimes you give me looks and you scare me sometimes. And I go, whoa, I scare her. Remember how much I love this woman? And I said, I need some help. So, being a Christian, I decided to turn to the church. And I turned to the church, and I can't give you the name of the church because people like to sue nowadays. I tell the pastor what was going on. He tell the whole congregation. Remember, I can't give you the name because they like to sue, but it's one of the largest churches in Irving, Texas, in Hackberry Creek. They decided they're going to do an exorcist. Guys, this is not this long ago. This church is one of the largest, I can't give you the name, in Hackberry Creek with this big white staple on it and stuff. 12 of their members and stuff went in this room with Cindy and I. This is the honest truth. They started a chant. In today's world, they started a chant and all this crazy stuff. And I remember looking at Cindy, and I said, Cindy, we better get out of here. I said, my mom going to think I lost my mind to be here with these crazy people right here. We got up and we walked out of that church. I walked out of that church and I picked my phone up and I called up Pastor Tony Evans at Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. I called up Pastor Evans, and Pastor Evans came to our home, and he sat Cindy and I down at the table, and he prayed with us. And in the prayer, when he finished, he said, Herschel, let me tell you this. Just because you pray doesn't mean that God just throw it out of the sky and it happens. Said, you still got to get up and you got to do something. So we started searching around to find a doctor to help me and stuff because I didn't know what was going on. And we came upon a doctor by the name of Jerry Mangazi. And Jerry was from Africa. And what's so interesting about Jerry was Jerry had passed through my life many times, guys. This is what was so funny. When I was at Georgia, Jerry was working on his master's or something at Arkansas in track and field. When I made the Olympic team, Jerry was on the Zimbabwe team for Africa. Well, when I got to the University of Georgia, Jerry was, not the university, when I got to Texas, Jerry was going through seminary school at Dallas seminary school there. So I came upon this doctor by the name of Jerry Mangazi. Jerry asked me what was going on, and this and that, and we started telling him about it. And he said, Herschel, it sounds like you have something what we call DID. I said, what is that? He said, dissociative identity disorder. I said, what is that? He says, like different personalities and stuff. My first thought was Sybil. And I go, wait a minute, this doctor crazy. I know I'm not no darn Sybil. So he's from Africa. He don't know what the heck he's talking about. But before I can say anything, he said, Herschel, let me ask you this. He said, have you cried lately? I said, I haven't cried since Anthony Logan beat me up. He said, what kind of emotion you have? How do you feel? Do you hurt? Well, this was so funny, guys. I thought back of things happened in my life. Remember, I broke my thumb, and I was trying to set it myself. I had all 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out with nothing. In my big game against Notre Dame, if you read about this, you can hear about how my shoulder came out of place, where the top of my shoulder ended up in the bottom of my chest. And I'm walking around like this, and they told me I can't play, and I'm like, why? They said, your shoulder's out of place. And and I'm pretty smart. I said, if it's out of place, you can put it back. And the doctor told me that you're going to take surgery to put that back. On the sideline, I said, surgery didn't take it out. I laid on the sideline, and a guy by the name of Nat Hudson and Tim Morrison put their legs against my shoulder, and they popped it back in place, and I shook it off and went out in place. I don't have any pain. He said, do you journal or do you write? And this what scared me to death. Remember all those great things I was doing, Heisman Trophy, Olympic team, rushing titles, NFL fastest, all those great things I was doing. All I ever wrote about was pain. All I ever wrote about was shooting. All I ever wrote about was hurting people. I didn't write about any joy. So I went back and I said, guys, I got a problem. I don't know if y'all read about it. I went to this behavioral health hospital. You call it crazy hospital, but you can't say crazy hospital because HR get pissed off at crazy hospital. The guy said behavioral health hospital. So I went to this behavioral health hospital out in California, Torrance, California. I remember going to this behavioral health hospital, and I sit down in my first group session, and I go, whoa, these people here are crazy. I was listening to them when they talk. I said, these people here are literally crazy. So I must have had a personality that can lie, because I'm going to lie. I'm not going to tell these people who I am so they can get out thinking we're friends and stuff. They want to come visit. Well, I'm not talking to these people here. I'm not like these people in here. Sort of like God may not come when you want him, but he come on time. Because as I'm about to give up, I'm walking down the hallway, and we're going to call her Mary. I'm walking down the hallway, and there was a young lady in my section named Mary. And I said, good morning to Mary. Mary goes, my name is Grace. I'm thinking, Mary is crazy. But I remember going over to the doctor, and I said, Doctor, Mary just told me her name is Grace. And he said, so? And I said, well, explain this to me. He said, Herschel, she's doing things like you do, disassociate. I said, what do you mean by that? Because I never really understood it. Guys, for 4 years, it took me a long time to understand what dissociation was meant. He said, what happened is she don't trust men. Say her husband was an abuser. Her husband abused her. Say he was beating on her all the time and stuff, and said she reached out to the local law enforcement for some help. Said they didn't do anything to help her and stuff. And then she reached out to her family members for some help, and they didn't do nothing to help her. Till one night her husband came home, been drinking, and started beating on her. Said he started beating on her and broke her arm. Said he broke her arm, she was all alone. Said Grace was all alone. Said she was helpless. And then she fought back as a totally different person. She fought back at that married person. And said she injured her husband, put him in the hospital. And he goes to court, and the judge threw her in here. And it hit me that we all fall short of the glory of God. So the first time in my life, I saw who I was. Remember, I was this fat little stuttering kid that people used to make fun of. People thought they can do nothing. Even the coach said, you can't play. Everyone told me I can't do this, I can't do this. So I made myself this invincible person that can do some amazing thing, do all this crazy stuff, because I didn't deal with all that pain back here. So we use that anger as our coping mechanism. Like we may use drugs, or we may use alcohol, or gun, or anger as a coping mechanism. That's what I was doing. So like I said, watching a stupid movie late at night, hoping they get better, don't get better. You ever seen Rocket 5? You remember in Rocket 5, y'all probably think I watch a lot of TV, but I really don't. But in Rocket 5, you can remember Rocket 5 had a kid, remember from Oklahoma, what was his name? Tommy Gunn. You remember Tommy Gunn? Tommy Gunn was from Oklahoma, and Rocket taught him to box, and you can remember that. But Jesus is in Rocket 5. I don't know if y'all know that. The only reason I watch TV, my mom has told me, Mr. Herschel, if you're going to watch a TV show, make sure it got something to do with God. So I can bring God in almost anything, because I want to watch a lot of stuff. So God shows up in Rocket 5, and we're going to show y'all where he's at. This is what happened. You remember when he taught Tommy Gunn to box? And Tommy Gunn decided to leave Rocket, but go to that Don King lookalike, if you can remember that. And the Don King lookalike made him a champion. But the fans were booing at Tommy Gunn. They didn't like him. They didn't like Tommy Gunn. They didn't like him and stuff. So now Tommy Gunn is mad, and he want to fight Rocky. But Rocky retired. Rocky is in this bar with his big mouth brother-in-law, Polly. You remember Polly? He was in the big mouth brother-in-law, Polly and stuff. And all of a sudden, Tommy Gunn and Don King looking like outside trying to call Rocky out to fight, and Rocky won't come out there. So they shows up in the bar, and Rocky trying to pick the fight, and he swung on Rocky, but missed Rocky and hit Polly and knocked him to the ground. And Rocky goes, let's take it outside. I go, uh-oh, dude, you don't realize this is a Tommy Gunn movie. This is a Rocky movie. Rocky winning his own movies. Y'all know that. So Tommy Gunn and Rocky go out, and they start fighting in this alleyway, if you can remember that. And as they're fighting in this alleyway, at the beginning, Tommy Gunn had beating Rocky up. And I'm thinking, this is the end of the Rocky series. This is Rocky 5. That's a lot of them, because they got Rocky 32 now. Like, they created Creed. So in Rocky 5, I'm thinking maybe this is going to start a Tommy Gunn series. Whereas Tommy Gunn is beating Rocky up, he knocks Rocky into this trash. Rocky's laying in this trash feeling sorry for himself. Don't think he can make it no more. And he don't think he can go no more. But I'm going to show you where Jesus shows up in here. You remember Mick? Mick was Rocky's old trainer that died in 3 of the Rockies ago, if you can remember that, Mr. T. But I read this script. This was so fun. I got a chance to read about this. Mick didn't just die because they wanted Mick to die. Mick got too big for his britches. Seriously, Mick thought he can make more money if they pay him more money. They told Mick they weren't going to pay him more money. That's what happened. And Mick said, well, if you don't pay me more money, I'm not going to rehearsal. They said, Mick, you got to come to rehearsal. We got to finish Rocky 3, and we can negotiate this. And Mick said, well, I want more money. So what happened in that scene where Mr. T is coming down the stairway, you remember at that fight, and Mr. T and Rocky on the fight, and Mr. T go, I pity you, fool, like this. And Mick said, get out of here, Mr. T, like this. And he jumped between Rocky and Mr. T, and Mr. T pushed Mick, and Mick had a heart attack. And that was a negotiation period right there. And as they negotiated Mick's contract, he was in the hospital bed. You remember that? And he lived for a little while, and Rocky's laying on his knees, just praying for Mick and stuff. And Mick wouldn't settle for any less money. So they killed him off. That's the reason Mick died. Where in Rocky 5, Mick realized that, hey, this is not a Mick movie, this is a Rocky movie. He wanted to come back. He came back to the producers and he said, Mick, can y'all put me in the movie here? They said, Mick, we can't put you in the movie because you died in Rocky 3. And how can we get you in the movie? Mick said, I'll settle for a whole lot less money if you can put me in Rocky 5. So they brought Mick back in this vision. You can remember that. Because remember, Rocky was laying in the trash in Rocky 5. Then think he can make it, and Mick appeared to Rocky in this vision, and Mick said, "Get up, you bum." Said, "Get up, it ain't over yet. Just one more round. Just one more round." That's when the music started, da-da-da, da-da-da. And that's like our lives, guys. We get knocked down in areas we don't think we can make it no more. There's a guy dying for us. They're saying, "Get up, just one more. Just one more time." See, I've been getting up all my life. I've been getting up all my life, and now I'm in this hospital that I go to my first group session and decided I'm not going to lie. I say, "My name is Herschel Walker. I played 15 years of pro ball, been on 2 Olympic teams. A matter of fact, everything I ever set out to do, guys, I won it." Is that not amazing? Everything I ever said, academically, athletically, everything I ever set out to do, I won it. But I've been diagnosed as having dissociative identity disorder. And my wife, a woman that I love more than I love myself, fear one day I may kill her. I said, my favorite game I used to play, guys, was Russian roulette. People used to say, "What?" I said, "Yeah, people come to my house want to compete against me. You're not worthy. You don't work like I work. And unless you can put this gun in your head, you ain't fearless like me." People used to think I was crazy. I would take a gun, put it in my head, snap it, wouldn't even think about it. I didn't realize how far gone I was gone. I never drank, never had a drug, but I had a mental problem. All of a sudden, I started to feel a little bit better. I started to understand this a little bit. I started to understand that being bullied, you can overcome it. I started understanding. I started working. As I started getting out of this hospital, this was so funny. When you leave a behavior health hospital, people think now you're less of a person. You're less of what you used to be. But I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But the first of this year, guys, most of the guys playing with the Cowboys, I can be their father, grandfather. I ran the fastest time the Cowboys had. I ran a 4.340. And I know I can run faster because I'm not training to run. I've been fighting. I don't know if you know this, but I've been in the cage with Cain Velasquez and Daniel Cormier. That's who I train with. I've been doing this MMA stuff. Not only that, guys, I built 3 of the largest minority-owned companies in the United States after leaving this hospital. Not only that, guys, I hang out with presidents. I'm supposed to be crazy, remember? I've been hanging out with the First Lady since Mrs. Bush. I traveled with the First Lady. I traveled with Mrs. Bush. I traveled with Mrs. Clinton. I traveled with Mrs. Obama. Traveled with Melania now. I'm hanging out with, and I'm going to get this off my bike too because this bothers the crap out of me. You remember President Obama used to play basketball? I don't know if y'all know, he's a basketball player. But homeboy smokes. And I used to play with him at lunch. This is honest truth. I used to play with him at lunch. And I let him beat me. I let him beat me. This is honest truth because he had a lot of security. I don't know if y'all know that. When you're the president of the United States, you got a lot. You don't know that they're there, but they're there. He has a lot of security. So I used to let homeboy post me up, post Herschel Walker up. I'm serious. I used to let him post me up, make a layup and stuff, and he talk a lot of trash. I don't know if y'all know that. He talk trash. And I let him beat me. But I'm getting this off my back. I got his number. He don't have but 2 now. I can handle those. We're playing again. I'm getting that off my back. But anyway, I'm here to tell you this, guys. If you're going through anything, there's absolutely no shame to ask for help. And there's people that can help you. If you think you are far lost, there's a brighter light out there. There's nothing you're going through that no one else is not sharing. So don't think you're alone. And don't think that you're not loved because you are loved. So Jesus loves you. Your family loves you. And now you're responsible for a lot more than just yourself. I want to leave you with something. There was a guy that loved baseball. These 2 guys, they were older. They loved baseball so much that as one got a little bit older, he was about to leave and go meet his maker at that time. His friend came into the hospital room and bent over his bed and said, "Can you do me a favor, Charlie? Can you do me a favor?" And Charlie said, "What can I do for you?" He said, "Can you let me know if there's baseball in heaven?" The guy thought that was a strange request, but as Charlie passes away, the other guy was working in his backyard one afternoon. It was all sunny and bright, nice day. And this cloud of smoke started coming towards him, and he knew it had to be Charlie. And he ran up to this cloud of smoke, and he said, "Is there baseball in heaven? Is there baseball in heaven?" And the voice from this cloud of smoke said, "Well, I got some good and bad news." He said, "I don't care about that. Is there baseball in heaven?" He said, "Well, the good news is there is baseball in heaven." And the guy goes, "Yes!" said the bad news is you're pitching tomorrow. And the reason I tell people this, we should never put anything off. And we always said, tomorrow I'll do it. I'll do it later. Because I'm going to tell you, if I had waited to do my treatment later, I may not be standing here right now. If I had waited to do my treatment, my son may not be here right now. My ex-wife, someone I love. And I want to say, your kid, hug your kid every day. I'm going to just say this one last thing. And then I don't know if I can take questions, if I got time to take questions, but I'm going to say this one last thing. If you got a child, hug your child. I have a 19-year-old smart kid, smart kid. And, I say, book-wise, he's extremely smart. Street-wise, dumb as a brick. But what's funny about him is I delivered him. He's 19. I brag about it later. He's 19, but I delivered him. I remember the doctor was on my right side. I still remember this. When I delivered him, he had this long old head. I'm serious, he looked like an alien. I told my wife, your parents got some awful genes and stuff. And you said no matter how ugly your child is, you think he's pretty. So they cleaned Christian up and stuff, and they cleaned him up, and I put the cap on top of his crown and stuff. And I said, no, he's not that bad and stuff. And I'm so proud of my little dude and stuff. And I remember wheeling him into the nursery because at that time, at that hospital in Irving, Texas, there was 15 babies born with 2 nurses there that night, including Christian. So I was able to stay there and feed some of the babies. I was so excited. Now, we're Christian up to the winter because I'm proud of my little boy. But he got this long head, poor little dude. And all of a sudden, I remember this little girl right next to him, this round head, all this hair, and beautiful little girl. Normally little kids are ugly when they're really born at first. But this little girl was pretty. And I'm looking at Christian, looking at her, and I go, wow, I'm going to slide her over a little and stuff because everybody going to come to that window and go, wow, that's a beautiful little girl. And then they're going to look at her, Christian Walker and go, whoa, X-File, because he's an alien and stuff. But then, being from the country, my mom said, Herschel, you can, round their head out by polishing. I used to polish his head, roll his head all the day. I don't know if y'all know that, but I was rounding his head every day. And his head got round and looked like my side of the family. But it also made him smart. The little dude is really smart. He speaks 4 different languages at 19. He speaks Chinese, French, Spanish, and English, and he writes it. He's a junior in college, supposed to be a freshman, but like I said, streetwise, dumb as a brick. But I kiss him all the time. He don't like it. He's 19. He try to run. I catch homeboy. I'm like, I catch. But anyway, if you got a kid, hug your kid. If y'all have any questions you want to ask me, and remember this, and I told you early on, I was diagnosed with having DID. Those are different personalities. So I may say something you don't like, then come for me. Came for someone else. So I want to throw that out there first. So I answer politics, religion, anything. You have any question you want to ask me? Yes, ma'am. Uh-oh. Oh, no, I do. She asked, do I continue my therapy? And that's one thing I always tell people, no matter what, always continue your therapy because I'm never going to leave. DID is never going to leave me. It's always going to be with me. And I have 2 doctors, Dr. Jerry and also Dr. Fridley out of California. And because, I have over 800 employees. And let me tell you, when you work with people, they will drive you crazy. Let me tell you, there's sometimes I want to choke them, but I don't. But I have somebody that really want to choke. I have relatives, and your relative will drive you crazy. I'm getting it off my back, and it feel better. But I do talk to outpatient, and I tell people all the time, you got to talk to outpatient because life is tough. Life, you have a lot of ups and downs in it, and I have to. I see it as coaching. That's kind of how I talk to it. Oh, it is coaching. No, you're welcome. And I got into MMA. It was funny because when I left the hospital, it was maybe a couple of years later. When I first got into MMA, my doctors called me. They were so worried about me because a lot of my athletic things came from the anger that I had. And MMA was so, they said violent. I don't think it's violent. But I got into MMA, and first thing they said is, "Are you okay?" They thought that because I was doing MMA that something was wrong. And I said, no, I just want to do this. I said it had nothing to do with anything else going on. So they check on me. They check on me. And one of the things, and I'm going to say this to people that are going through therapy or anyone that's going to go to therapy, you got to talk. You go to a therapy and you just sit in a class, just be a participant there, don't say anything, not going to help you. You have to talk. You got to let it out, because one of the best things that happened to me, and I think you guys, is talking. I understand what's happening in my life then. And unless you communicate, you're not going to get any better. And, this was weird. You know how many guys in the NFL and in track and field or in the athletic world that I've saved their marriages, their girlfriends, their financial picture? How many guys I've helped out? When I admitted I had a problem, they left me. They were gone like a vampire. They were scared to death. Herschel got a mental problem. They took off. But today, all of them have come back. I got probably twice a minute now, has come back, and they want to know how they can get some help. They want to find out how they can do it. But they want to do it on the down low. They don't want nobody to know about it. And I said, unless you can admit it, guys, you're not going to get any help. You're not going to feel better. You can't come to me for a pill. That's not a pill that's going to do it. And, and I even have some people, I'm not going to name him because he's still playing today, and I'm not going to call him out. But there's a player playing today who does a lot for mental health, but he made a statement that he is partial bipolar. He is partial bipolar. Guys, I have my doctorate, even though it's honorary. But there's no such thing as partial bipolar. But he said that because he don't want no one to say something bad about being bipolar, but so he's like this. And I said, God, once you decide what you are, it's going to be better. But you can't be partial. You can't be partial. I never heard of that before. Unless that's a new medical term. I don't know. 3 more questions, then I can sign or whatever. Yes, ma'am. Irving, Texas? I live in Westlake. I live in Westlake. Where you at in Irving, Texas? Yeah, I used to live in Cottonwood Valley, right across from the Four Seasons where they used to do the Byron Nelson. I used to live right there. And I moved out to Westlake. Now I got snakes and skunks and armadillos. I got everything in the world out there now. But I used to love Cottonwood Valley. That's where I lived at, yes. So I'm back in Texas. I'm there. Off and on. I'm in Texas, Washington, D.C. I did working with the president. The president is cool, guys. Now, y'all know who. I'm not getting into politics. President Trump is very cool. I tell you, he don't play basketball, but he's cool. Anyway. No more questions? Yes, sir. Yes, my mom does. My mom won't move out of Wrightsville. There's nothing in Wrightsville. There's a Dairy Queen and Piggly Wiggly. And but it's the neatest town. I'm serious. You got 1 year to live, move there. That year's forever. Same old people are so nice. Like if somebody steals something from you, you know who got it. That Joe Bob got it. You know who sold it. So and your phone don't work. This is the honest truth, guys. I was in the desert in Iraq. I was in the desert in Iraq. I picked my cell phone up. I called my mom on the cell phone. I'm at my mom's house in Wrightsville, Georgia. I'm walking around the house like this, trying to get a signal in the house. It don't work, not that, but it's the neatest little town. It is nothing happened. It's a slower pace. People still watch soap operas. I was at my mom the other day. People sitting there watching Young and the Restless is still on. Yeah, it's still on. And Jack from Young and the Restless is still on the show. This man is older than, he's got to be 90. And stuff, he's still on. Well, y'all probably don't care about Jay. I don't even know who that is. Okay, another question. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Mr. Walker, can you maybe tell us the story about you saved that older lady from the car door?
Oh, how do you know about that? Oh, no. You know what happened? They say I was out jogging. I wasn't. I was driving up, and there was a car that had turned over, and it was spinning, and it had stopped spinning, and it started smoking. And these guys were up trying to open the door. and stuff. They couldn't get it open, so I jumped out of my car, and I did rip the door off, and there was an older woman in there, and I helped her out. But I was late, so I had to leave. So I got in my car and I left, and I didn't meet the lady until like a year later, and we were in the Golden Corral. Hey, that's what's in Dublin, Georgia, Golden Corral. That's the best place to go. Hey, I'm gonna tell y'all a secret, and don't y'all get mad at me. The Golden Corral, you ought to have your wedding reception at the Golden Corral, because think about this now. You can get a plate for $9. You can invite 300 people. 9 times 300 is not that much. You don't have to pay that much money, and you get a chocolate fountain. Y'all, I don't even work at the Golden Corral. But anyway, no, I met the young lady at the Golden Corral and stuff. And, and my thing is, guys, this is the best country in the world because of our United States military. Let's be honest. Our United States military is the reason we have the best country in the world. We got some of the best people that in times of horror, we come together. And, I'm going to try to help whoever I can help. I believe in that. My mom and my dad taught me to do that and stuff. And I love people, I say I got a chance to vote, guys. If I don't like you, I can vote you out. I started my company. This is the honest truth. I started my company. I have over 800 employees. And my mom said, Herschel, God has blessed you through athletics. I started my company not that I'm needed, not to make money. I figured if the company paid for itself, I don't have to put money in it. I don't care what I do. They can pay all the stuff. But I have 3 companies now and stuff, and they pay for themselves. They do very, very well. And I just think helping people is the best thing you can do. Because God didn't put us here just for ourselves. That's what's so funny. You think God put you here just for you to be cool. No, He put you here to help other people. And I think that's what my thing is that's what I want to do. But you got to be honest. Let's be honest with each other. Like being a liar is worse. Be honest. Guys, I'm not perfect. I'm tell you what, I'm not perfect. I get mad all the time. You saying, do I go through therapy? I need therapy. I get mad all the time, guys. I'm serious. I'm like, geez. I'm watching TV, watching fake news and good news, all news. Anyway, the next question. I can't get into politics. Hey, I'll tell you can I tell this other funny story? I've been working with the president, right? In my hometown, there's nothing there. There's McDonald's and Dairy Queen. A year ago, I was going through the Dairy Queen line. Like, my family, we stay together all the time. My mom is on 500 acres. We go there can be somebody going out a loaf of bread at Piggly Wiggly. There can be 8 cars going at one loaf of bread. We stay together. We do everything together. So I was going through my Dairy Queen through the drive-thru, buying $300 worth of stuff through the drive-thru. I get to the window. They got a score of 100 A+, a food score. I'm in the food business. I've never seen a fast food place have a score of A+, 100 on the thing. So I took a picture of it, and I tweeted it out. Well, all of a sudden, the Dairy Queen company started sending me coupons. I was all excited, but I get a call from the ethics lawyers in Washington. And whenever it's Mr. Walker, that means I'm in trouble for something. Mr. Walker, you can't accept those coupons. I said, why? He said, you work for the White House. You can't take gifts. I said, I don't eat meat. We don't care about that. I said, can I give them away? No, you have to return them. And I said, all I want is a dilly bar. I don't want nothing else. I had to return my coupon. I got that off my bike. I feel better. See, that's the reason I need therapy. Stuff that drive you crazy, stuff that's so simple, that should be so easy. You ask people why. I heard General Swartkoff say something one time. And guys, remember this. Do what's right. Do what's right. You know what's right. You know when you're about to do something wrong. You know it's wrong. Do what's right. Last question, and then I can sign. You can make it a difficult one. And, I dance, and a lot of people know, I danced for 10 years. And I'm a cook. This was so fun. I'm a cook, and I'm an executive chef and stuff. So, I cook, and I have a food company. So I do a lot of crazy things. Yes, sir.
Sir, I was just wondering, the mental fortitude that made you an elite athlete, did you ever see that as potentially a source of conflict in that it made you push through some things you shouldn't have been pushing through, both physically and or mentally? And I say this because, we're in a business where we get hurt a little bit. Our bodies take a lot of abuse too in a few things. And it takes us a long time to kind of figure out sometimes, hey, there's some things maybe I should be going through or pushing through, and maybe some things I might need to take a knee and listen. So I'm just wondering how you, at the levels that you've been achieving, what your thoughts were on that, sir.
Well, it's funny because I'm a person that I love to win. I love to win. So I tell people, you train to win. So whenever I'm training, I train to win. So whatever I have to do to win, because, guys, I do today, I'm not doing a minute push-ups. I do 1,500 push-ups a day, 3,500 sit-ups, 500 dips, and if I'm here, I may ride a stationary bike 50 miles. If I'm at home, I may do 100 miles on my road bike. And people ask, I'm not trying to impress anyone, and I push myself, and I work out every day of my life. I worked out every day of my life since I was 12 years old. And people ask me, why? Because you're supposed to give your body a rest. And I said, no, I can't, because I have to sacrifice. The reason why is some kid in Tuflo, Mississippi, been Googling, reading about Herschel Walker. So his goal is to meet up with me. And I got to let him know when he show up, I'll be your huckleberry. Because I said that I have to be ready. And it may be my mental attitude that I have, but I said, I have to be ready. Google this. Scott somebody, just Google Herschel Walker push-up challenge against some golfer, Scott somebody. Just Google Herschel Walker push-up thing against professional golfer, Scott somewhere. I hate golf. I'm not a great golfer, guys. I'm terrible at golf. I shoot in the upper 80s, lower 90s. I'm not a great golfer. But I have to play in these charity tournaments for charity, and so I have to embarrass myself. Because you have good golfers and you have people that just out there. I hate walking all day. I got other things I could be doing. It's hot. You can't have a cart. So you're out there for 5 hours in the golf ball that I don't want to be out there. So all of a sudden I walk 5 hours out there on the golf course, or 4.5, whatever it was. All of a sudden I get through the golf course, now the PGA channel want to interview me. Now I got to take more time to do the PGA channel, which I like golfers. They're nice. They do well, but that's not for me. So I do the interview. As soon as I finish the interview, they said, Herschel, we got the best conditioned golfer here. Scott, whoever his name, want to challenge you to a push-up contest. Well, first of all, only thing you do, I just walked 5 hours. And you just been bothering me with this TV thing. Now you want to put your golfer up against me? Like, you're going to Google this and you're going to be on YouTube and you're going to try to embarrass Herschel Walker? No, you won't. That's the reason I train like that, is I let him know, when you show up, I'm going to be your huckleberry. Google that, you'll see it. And that's what I said, is you have to train, but your mental attitude sometimes save your life. Because I'm going to tell you a story. I have a nephew, Sean Walker, who was in the Army. Sean was an incredible athlete. He's in the Army. Sean had 4 tour duties, been downrange 4 times. Well, second time over to Kandahar. I happened to be over there doing some work over there and stuff. And they said, Herschel, your nephew here, Sean, is out here. He's on guard duty. I said, Sean is here. I said, I haven't seen the dude in a long time. I remember changing his diapers. He was a bad little kid. I wish he got a spanking. Never got the spanking, spoiled brat. But now he become a man because he's in the Army and stuff. And I go out to see Sean. And I'm walking out there to him. I'm so happy to see my nephew because he's the oldest one. As I'm walking up to him, he stepped back and he didn't recognize me. And he stuck his hand out to shake my hand. I went to give him a hug. He didn't recognize me for a while. And then he got me, and he gave me a hug. But I remember talking to my mom about it, that I saw a grandson, and she said, how is he doing? I said, he's doing great, but I didn't see that one. My mom didn't even know what I was talking about, because the guy I saw there is a bad dude, man. He's coming back. But your grandson wouldn't come back. He's a spoiled, terrible brat. To be honest with you, he's awful. He's an awful little kid. But I saw a man over there. And I said, sometimes that mental attitude saves your life. And I told people, we were talking earlier, I said, if I ever see Anthony Logan that beat me up, I'm probably going to thank him. I'm first going to thank him. I'm going to thank him and say, thank you for making me wake up. Even though beating me up may have put me in the hospital, but my life is not that bad because I got people that help me to understand it. Because I'm going to tell y'all another secret, and don't y'all get mad at me, but I do have my doctorate. We all are mentally crazy. Some people are more severe than others. So we all have these challenges. And it's okay to admit that we have problems. That's the reason we have Jesus Christ, that we can pray through that help us out. That's the reason we have doctors that we can go to that can help us understand it. And I just thank you guys. One last story. You know, y'all have kids. Everybody have kids, I hope. You have kids that they love to watch all these shows, and you have to sit there and watch them with them and stuff. And sooner or later, you get where you like the shows, but they don't like them no more. And now you have to watch them by yourself, and you feel like a dirty old man. Like I had to rent the neighbor's kid to go see Jungle Book like a year ago, because my son didn't want to go with me to see Jungle Book, and I didn't want to look like a weird guy in this theater watching Jungle Book. But y'all ever seen like the, what is it called, the cow that saved the barnyard, like Barnyard? Y'all remember Barnyard? And Barnyard is about this cow that protects the barnyard against all the enemies and stuff. And you remember in the very first one, which is, and I'm not going to get into all that, but in the very first, remember the dad had told his son, there are going to be some problems tonight, I'm going to need your help. And the son runs away with his friends to play and stuff, and he didn't get back to help dad, but as dad protected the barnyard, he told his son something that was so powerful. He said, son, a big man stands up for himself, but a bigger man stands up for others. And I said, guys, is that not who you guys are? You're so big because you're standing up for the greatest country in the world. So God bless you. Thank you. And I can sign and what I have to do. But, hey, don't clap. Sometimes I say don't clap because you guys are the heroes. This is just, I'm just Herschel. That's all I ever be. I've never done and sacrificed what you guys had to sacrifice. And I happened to be at the Georgia game this past weekend, and I had a couple of young men out there who were doing some things. And I said, guys, y'all are excited, but the excitement should be for you guys. They just got back from deployment. And as I was driving down to see my mom, I met a young man that just got back from deployment, and what was wild, he was going to see his little girl for the first time in his life. His little girl was 2, and he was going to see her for the first time in his life. And I said, that's not special right there. That's why I tell people, I said, man, that's what you call sacrificing. You're not no athlete that is get angry, that don't want to wear a helmet that somebody else is wearing, that thinking that's not a joke. You can't be a part of the team. Is that not a joke? That's what I said. Remember who you guys are. That's why it ain't no shame to ask for help. That's why you can get that help. Hey, God bless you. Let me quit because I get into all my other stuff. Hey, God bless you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.